For the bare necessities, the simple bare necessities.
Hello and welcome to episode 21 of That's a Shame. As ever, for a Wednesday episode, I am your introducer man, Declan.
Nice.
Sitting across from me, only in terms of across the Thames, is, as ever,
Me, Isaac. Me.
welcome.
Hi.
Welcome
Thank you.
back. Thanks for
Thanks a
coming.
lot. Oh, that's right. I mean, I wasn't going to miss it.
Not for the world.
No, not for love nor money.
Not after that
I'd miss it for
wonderful, not milestone episode 20.
Yeah, I've decided I really hate milestones, and moving forwards, I think we should deprioritise them as a concept.
Yeah, I think that
They're the birthdays of podcasting, aren't they?
the next one can be, 100?
Yeah, because
Just wait.
30, I mean, that 30 is going to, if we acknowledge it, just depress me so much, because that's the looming horrid birthday in both of our immediate 5 to 6 year plans.
And 30, it feels desperate. It feels like you're sort of clamouring for attention, doesn't it?
Oh, we're still relevant. It's got a 0 on the... Fuck off. It's nothing. You're going to die soon. That's about how I feel about 30.
Yeah, you're on the border of irrelevance, aren't you?
Uh-huh.
Welcome to all our 30-year-old listeners. Hope you're enjoying the show.
Lovely to have you guys. Listen while you can.
We've got an interesting show lined up for you. I've brought something. Isaac's brought nothing.
That's it. Yep.
So it's the opposite of last week.
Yeah, it's the
where
classic setup
we both
inverted.
brought nothing. No, and then we've got a bit more shame mail.
Oh yeah,
to go
that's
over.
a regular feature now, isn't it? If
It
we've done
is.
it, if we're going to have done it twice in a row, that's basically like clockwork.
Good job that we've decided to come up with a better name for it than shame and mail.
I completely forgot that was on our agenda.
Yep.
In fact, I think we've actioned none of the steps that we mentioned in our discussion last week.
I know our Twitter cover photo is still corn.
Oh no,
Yesterday.
I forgot about that. Okay, guys, if you've got any idea for what could replace the stock photo of a field of corn that is currently an excuse for our Twitter,
You know, if anything ever could.
in some ways, because it says so little, doesn't it just say it all? No. It is corn. But yeah, that's back on the agenda. I will do that this week.
And then of course we have the return of Hooked.
Oh, everyone's absolute last segment of the day.
We gave a little taste of the beginning of Order of the
indeed.
Foxtooth last week, and already within the first 14 messages, someone has died and come back to life. I mean, it's
like the Christ story.
you can't buy that sort of attention.
No.
Although I'm sure that
too
Hooked would
much.
let you
Yeah.
if you wanted to become a veritable super hoot.
Ooh, can't recommend that enough, guys.
Get on board. Get yourself an account. One of the fun features of having an account is that you can read all the comments that people have left. One of the other features is that you still don't get it to look like iMessage. It's still just rectangle.
Good. That's a sign of a quality app right there, am I right?
Yep,
That'll be a 3 stars from me.
3 stars for something that's redefined epistolary fiction.
You're right, it's 5 or bust.
Speaking of 5-star reviews or bust,
Yeah, where could this be going?
well, I don't know. Look, I'm just...
Well, it's organic, I'll give you that.
It's tripping off the tongue. This is coming fresh. This is like... this is like 8 Mile.
It's like licking Niagara Falls at the source.
Yeah, so I suppose... because we have a review... We have like a review link, don't we?
Oh, yeah, I guess.
If you were to type in to the old URL bar... shame.
Grandma?
URL
bar.
HTTPS /
Which one's
forward?
Is he leaning forward or am I?
If you went to shame.city/review.
Also, guys, I don't say H. That was in character. That was part of the acting.
Thank God, I didn't want to have
I'm
to
not
bring
one
it
of
up.
those dreadful idiots.
Yes, if you go to shame.city/review, certainly if you're on an iOS device,
Oh, yeah.
then it should just take you straight to the old iTunes review
The
page.
sheer convenience of it. It's just upsetting, really.
It staggers the mind. And so,
But then, if you don't have iOS, just pop along to iTunes, get on board, click the review button, you have to click 5 stars or it doesn't publish it, I've heard. So don't
they'd be
test that
giving
out.
us-
Just
they'd be
take
giving
my
us
word for it.
4 stars or less. That's not.
Why bother?
That's not our cake.
As Declan would say, it's not even anyone's cake. But yeah, that is very much appreciated. Thanks. We'll plug that again at the end.
We've sort of become part of a little evil British podcasting cabal, haven't we?
Yes, that happened last night, didn't it? At the dead hours of last night. 10 o'clock, I think.
Which is why you were so grateful for all of those notifications from Twitter.
Yes, well, it did set my phone off rather alarmingly. I was just having a nice chilled evening. I was reading my Stuart Lee book. I was sitting in almost pitch black darkness, contemplating a life that is beyond my grasp. And all of a sudden, my phone, it did that thing that I can imagine must happen if you're like Instagram famous, where you get so many notifications at once that the phone is like interrupting itself to deliver them. And the Twitter noise is quite long. It's this weird little kind of coquettish bird sound. It's like it's trying to be like, "Ooh, yoo-hoo, you've got a tweet." And it sent me about 30 of them at once as all these people welcomed us very graciously, very kindly into their what is it, Britpod scene sort of thing.
Yeah. It feels like the modern day equivalent of these underground socialist meetings that would have been shut down by like COINTELPRO or something.
Yes, it does have that kind of vibe.
Been infiltrated by like the FBI or something, or MI5 coming in to shut us down. Like the absolute podcasting union that we are.
We're an absolute cabal of like-minded podcasters. I'm sure we'll get to know them. We might do some collaborative stuff, dare I say, down the line.
Yeah, no.
Only time will tell.
Yes.
Yeah. Best place for it is the future. But Declan, you've got a topic for this show. Thanks for supplying one.
Oh, sorry.
Because I frankly was not feeling it.
I felt like one of us should.
I've never been in a less podcasting mood.
No. Neither have I.
Not true.
So, no, I really haven't. No, I'm
joking.
No. But no, it was something that I realised about 5 episodes or so ago when we were trying to redo our lists of topics that I realised I hadn't really spoken, not just on the podcast about, but really to you about ever.
No, it hasn't come up.
Which surprised me because it was a mad part of my life for quite a while. Which sounds like I had a kid or a sort of cartoon dog.
It sounds like you're about to talk about your time working for Al Qaeda.
My time as Jihadi John was...
it's short-lived, but poignant nonetheless.
No, so at high school, kind of the precursor to the theatre stuff that you and I did a lot of at university, was that I took part in loads of public speaking and debating competitions, like through the school, which started when I was in like year 9, I think it was, and they were bringing in this competition. I don't know if you'd heard of it. You might have done because you went to London High School, didn't you?
Yeah.
Called the Jack Petchey Speak Out Challenge.
Oh, yes, I have heard of the Speak Out Challenge.
Yeah.
I don't remember Jack being involved.
Well,
who's he?
He's some sort of like London-based businessman who's worked his way up from nothing to own every car in the world or something like that.
Or with his silver tongue of public speaking.
Well, this is the thing, is that, he believes that an ability to speak confidently and publicly is sort of vital to advancing yourself in the world. And so he sort of set up this competition to encourage people to do so. And it was the first year that my school had done it. And there are like 3 rounds. So you have one round at your school, you have a round regionally, and then there's the grand final in London. And I, as is my way, ended up writing my speech in the very last minutes of the lunch break before going on. And I won. And I was like, yes. Ooh. So then...
what was it about?
It was about facing your fears. It was such like... It was like...
Wow. It was like you should do a TED Talk.
I was about to say it was like baby TEDx bullshit. Yeah. It was like 3 minutes, I think you're allowed.
And TEDx is already bullshit.
Oh, yeah.
So you've got bullshit squared.
Very much so. So I was then in the regional competition, which was actually easier than the one just at my school because there were some real characters involved. It was held at another school locally, and you go along and you meet everyone beforehand, and they have a little I think it's just an excuse to get people work, like boondoggle jobs during the New
really?
Deal or something. But they have like a little workshop beforehand, and you're like, we're the winners. Like,
Yeah.
leave us be. Don't be giving any of these fuckers tips. This might be something that I've got, up my sleeve.
They haven't.
And and you're going around and I remember talking to one kid. This is the state of the competition. His speech was about bread. Like his speech was
And
about.
you don't mean the ITV sitcom from the 70s and 80s?
That's not what I'm on about. It was about how he used a loaf of Hovis to save his life when he was being attacked by squirrels.
Oh no, I hate that. That combines so many things that I dislike because it's like kind of that random quirky vibe that was big on Bebo at the time.
Yeah. And one of the things that was that everyone who heard it seemed sure they'd heard it before, like it was a sort of like a famous little joke or speech before.
He's a little thief, isn't he?
I mean, I never bothered to look it up. I've just convinced myself that that's true.
I'll do some research on that.
But this guy
I won't
came.
bring this guy down.
This guy came second in the regionals, and dare I say it, I once again was victorious.
Wow, what, was it the same speech you do every time? Are you allowed to change it?
You were supposed to, I think, like not like the whole speech, but that you were supposed to adapt it, refine it.
Do you remember any of it?
Yeah, I remember that it was essentially based around me throwing myself off of sand dunes on holiday once.
Okay.
As a kind of to break the taboo of my fear of heights.
What am I like mispicturing a sand dune? Isn't it just a big hill?
Well, so the sand dunes that then led down onto the beach. So at Winston, you've got.
So it's like a cliff.
Yeah, but it's not. I can't say
So you
jumped
threw
off a
yourself
cliff.
Cliffs.
I threw myself
fun.
straight off of cliffs, right down to the rocky embrace of the
Outcropping.
sea below.
Oh wow!
No,
You really did face your fear.
no. So it's like the beach as it comes up from the city, and then there's like a
Yeah, I know
8 foot
how
drop,
a beach works.
just an 8 foot kind of
Okay.
incline of sand.
And you'd be just up there, just chucking yourself off like some kind of absolute mental patient.
Daredevil, that's right. Thank you.
A daredevil, yeah.
Yeah.
Was it like in the school of if you keep doing it, you'll just like build up such a mental, physical callus
and
to falling?
It really did work. Like
That's weird because I don't think, I don't know. I don't see how it relates to your fear of heights because it's not that high. And also, is a fear of heights based on I'm scared of falling, or is it based on I'm scared of being here?
I've always presumed that it must be based on a fear of actually falling. Because there's nothing, other than falling, there's nothing inherently dangerous about being high.
Yeah, but people are scared of buttons.
That is true, but those people are the mentally ill.
If you're listening, you're scared of buttons. Sort it out.
So
Maybe chuck yourself off a big sand dune of buttons. See how you hold up.
But I remember that it was like based on the fact that my brother, being an absolute lunatic, sort of charged forwards, so excited about getting to the beach was he, like some sort of dog, that he just ran without ever even really looking and just launched himself off this sand dune onto the beach. And I remember sort of being petrified that he would... that he was injured. Is he broken his leg? Is he all right? There's no scream, there's no shouting. That's often a bad.
That's
sign.
a sign of death. Yeah, it's one of the top 3 signs.
Yeah, and then he just climbed back up and was like, "This is great."
Ooh.
So,
and how old are you in this point?
In the story, or when I was giving the speech?
Yeah, when it happened.
I absolutely have no idea. I must have been somewhere between 8 and 12.
Do you reckon it's one of those places like if you went back to this beach now, it was like you were stepping over a little sandcastle?
Oh,
you were chucking yourself off a pebble.
No, but only because Winterton is like slightly famous for being one of the places in the country that's been worse hit by climate change. So the cliff is, if anything, now an absolute drop into an abyss.
So we're not necessarily recommending that people follow a similar procedure to cure their vertigo.
No, like there was a cafe.
You might just die.
There was a cafe that we used to go to, which is now very much part of the sea.
Oh, good.
So
Ursula's underwater bike.
that's the one. Yeah, they're still there.
They rock up in little scuba gear.
Yeah, tenacious old people they are.
All the scones have their own little diving helmet as they're served. Beautiful place.
So So yeah, that was like the general thrust, and then they ended with some shit joke about various mad phobias. I think the last one was, what is it called? Arachibutyrophobia. I'm probably mangling the pronunciation there, but it's fear of peanut butter sticking to the roof of your mouth.
Oh, that's not scary, is it?
No.
That would be to misunderstand phobia on my part.
Yeah, exactly. So
did you leave then? I'm just trying to get a sense of
on.
how the speech functions, tonally. So did you have to do that thing where you open with like a big sweeping kind of get everyone in the room, a lot like Noah when he emailed in with the subject pro-Nazi
films.
Did you have a pro-Nazi films opener of your own?
I'm sure that I did. I can't remember quite what it was. I think it was probably not even as sweeping as anything like that. I think it was probably something very TED Talky, like,
what is fear?
I have a confession to make. But anyway, somehow I won again. I say somehow. Everyone was a fucking idiot.
So by default.
Yeah. So
despite your speech being about chucking yourself over little cliffs, you were still the least idiotic.
So there were 36 people who got through to the grand final, which was at the Mermaid Theatre in London. And what I thought was a real piss take about it was that only the top 18 scorers from the regional finals would actually be in the final competition. So 18
Why
people,
the rest of them?
18 people came along.
As subs?
Like, no, just to get
for
a little
the prize.
prize, just because they did well, but not well enough. But you only found out when you got there on the day. So that felt like a bit of a shame. But
which category were you in?
I was one who was going to be speaking.
Oh, good.
I was a real grand finalist. The thing was that even for just reaching the grand finals, still the greatest prize I've ever won, you won an iPod Touch.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's really good.
It was my main motivation for taking part, I think. Wow, good. The phone's ringing.
Answer it on air. We can do our first live phone-in. Imagine if it was like one of our audience.
Wow, good job that I picked it up and there was no one there.
Okay, we're back. So
it was my main motivation for taking part was that I knew that there was this iPod Touch at the end of the road.
That is much better than normally it would be like a £10 book voucher.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And a pat on the back.
Mr. Petchy, he knows what he's doing. He's a
smart guy.
So, what was interesting is that again, you had to arrive earlier in the day, and so you could check out the stage, and you could familiarise yourself with the surroundings, and you could get to know the other people who were taking part. And
they were insufferable.
Very much so. But
that they wouldn't be.
But even more so because I realised then that I was a year younger than everyone else who was taking part. So they were all
ostracised.
Yeah, very much so. They didn't want to talk to me. I was some stupid little year 9 kid.
Bless.
And I was ginger.
Oh yeah. So, 2 for 2.
Yeah. But there's a really weird vibe in that situation because when you're adults and you're taking part in a competition and you're hanging around with the people who will soon be your competitors, there's always a little bit of kind of sniping, a little bit of moral chicanery going on in the background. I'm thinking of university interviews especially. Like, there's always a bit of sniping, a bit of one-upmanship.
Yeah, it's like at auditions.
Yeah, but for when you're, 14, there's just far less of that because no one wants to be the one who's ostracised for being a dick. So everyone was slightly too nice while also being insufferable. However, I mentioned the Jack Petchy competition because of a very particular injustice. Which is that I was sat next to and talking to this one boy all day. He was a short, fat, little Asian boy. And he was quite funny. We got along. I was speaking immediately before him. The time came round. I got up, did my speech. all went reasonably well, apart from the fact that my microphone was bullshit.
Good.
Oh, how the times have changed. And
You got a phone call in the middle of the speech.
yeah. And yeah, it went fine. Got my round of applause. Left the stage. Sat down. Up next was this short, fat boy.
Mm-hmm.
He was the eventual winner.
Ooh.
His speech topic was stay away from gingers.
Wow, discriminatory speech.
Yep.
Was there any subtext? Was he like using, like Randy Newman's song Short People?
Yeah.
Short people got no reason to live, which is using to like show that any kind of discrimination based on appearance or other factors outside of one's control are laughable. Was he kind of analogizing the ginger situation to a broader issue like racism or sexism, any kind of inequality?
No.
So his speech was just don't go near a ginger.
It's just sort of vitriol, really.
Wow.
He even brought along a little poster that I can't quite remember exactly what it said, but it had like a picture of a little ginger girl on it. And it was like, I think it may have been something like gingers not even once. It was genuinely to that
He
vibe.
invented meme culture.
Yep. And he won.
But how can they allow that?
He won.
Did you not contest this?
I mean, I left the building immediately. I couldn't look at the prick.
Wow. What betrayal.
I know.
I would just love to know, like, the angle of his attack. Like, was it like a manifesto pledge? Was it like a stand-up routine? Do you remember why he had this particular issue?
No.
Had he seen Copper Cab's videos on YouTube? And gone, I can do that.
You know what? I think, and this is such a shame to admit because it's only going to backfire for me, but I think that I have all the speeches on DVD.
Wow, Shame.City, they'll be there soon. Is that what you're saying?
That's what I'm saying. I will attempt
that would be amazing.
To drudge it up. I think I know where it is, but I will. I cannot promise, but I will do my best to provide them for you.
Yeah, that does sound good.
But what this meant was that from then on, I was like the school's go-to guy for anything that was public speaking or debating related. And I actually really enjoyed certainly the debating. The public speaking is a bit of a shame because it is just debating but with no interaction. There's
debating with no counterpoint.
One side will have a speech and another side will have a speech, and never the twain shall meet. And also
the American politics approach to it.
And also because there's only one role worth doing in public speaking, because you're a team of three in most British public speaking competitions, where you have a chair who introduces the topic and introduces your speakers. Then you have the main speaker who gives the speech, and then you have the vote of thanks who thanks everyone.
That's a shit one.
I know.
What's that for?
Imagine
that's why even turn up?
I know, but imagine the fact that you had to come along after school a few days a week, only when it gets to competition time for them to go, right, you're the vote of thanks. We're off to Peterborough for the competition. Get in the van.
Johnny is a great public speaker as long as that public speech is the word thank you.
To everyone. It was like Donald Trump's victory speech.
Oh, yeah.
Just constantly thanking everyone left, right and centre.
Who may or may not have been in the audience at the time.
Almost certainly not.
Yeah.
So I didn't really enjoy the public speaking as much, especially the one time that in order to, this is my least favourite phrase, in order to give someone a chance, I was bumped from main speaker to vote of thanks.
I don't suppose your ego took that well.
No, not at all.
Not after having made it to grand finals.
I was the most...
Don't you know who I am?
I was the most miserable vote of thanks there's ever been. I was like, cheers for coming. Yeah.
Hope you enjoyed it. Could have been better, couldn't it? Let's be honest.
Gave a speech. I'll be honest, I switched off. But
not enough adverbs.
I hear it was half decent. I hear they've got someone better, but, got to give everyone a chance. That's equal opportunities for you.
Participation. But anyway, thanks for coming. See you next week.
Yeah. But the debating I really enjoyed, partly because it's quite fun and plays to my quite confrontative nature.
Oh, yeah.
But also because it is a world littered with the world's fools.
Uh-huh.
And again, there's such an incredible difference between the regional and the national level, or even the international level, that it's just staggering. The first round of a competition, so most of them are kind of university run. Cambridge Union or Oxford Union are like the big ones. The first rounds, again, like just take place in a school at like 6 o'clock in the evening. And, you push the chairs and tables together and you have the debate. And then the second round, you could be debating at and in the Oxford Union halls.
Oh, that's a step up.
Yeah. But the difference...
an iPod Touch.
Yeah.
Say, count me in.
The difference in quality was just staggering. Like, in the first rounds, you could be debating against people who didn't know what nouns were.
Oh, yeah.
You'd be debating against people who would hugely misunderstand the topic. Or the worst thing is when people set a shit definition. So to like set it up briefly, British parliamentary debate style, you have an opposition and a proposition for a motion. And 4 teams take part, 2 as the prop and 2 as the op. And the first speaker has to define the motion. But what this means is they can pretty much make it whatever they want.
Okay.
So for example, if the motion was, let's take something boring like this house would ban abortion. You could go away and do your 20 minutes prep as the opposition, come up with 5 or 10 arguments. Come back, and when the first speaker opens their mouth, they'll go, we define this as any abortion that takes place after 30 weeks. Like, well,
quite different.
Well, that's a different idea. That's something that nullifies almost all arguments against it.
Yeah.
So you get some dickheads who do that. But the main thing that I loved was people who just weren't good speakers. Like, you would get people who had clearly just been pushed forward because they were, like, good at English or something, but have never spoken to another human being in their life. I remember one of my favourites was this kid who, I don't know if he had, like, a nervous tic, or if he was, like, just claustrophobic or something, but he spent most of the debate rocking in his chair.
Oh, no, I think he's playing kind of psychological games against the enemy.
Well, this is the thing, is that I played them back because one of the only ways that you can interact during someone else's speech is that the middle minutes of your speech are open to points of information. So the opposition can stand up and offer to rebut something that you're saying.
Oh, that would really fuck me off if they did that.
Yeah, well, you can choose to accept or decline. It's advised that you accept at least 1, probably 2 in the speech. Otherwise, it just looks like that everyone knows your argument's shit, and so you're not allowing anyone to question it. But yeah, he kept standing up like every 15 seconds. Point of information? And I'd just be like, no, thank you, sorry. And he'd sit down and he'd sort of like rock a bit more vigorously. And then 3 more times go past. By now, I'm not even saying anything. I'm just waving him away, just like swatting him down with my hand. And then towards the end of my unprotected time, a girl from down the other end of the table who hadn't spoken once stood up. I was like, point of information? I was like, yes, please, come on. And this guy just screamed into his own hands.
Oh, no.
Just like,
some say he rocked himself into a little neutron star.
Rocked himself straight into the grave. There was just a wonderful pause as everyone in the room just looked at him silently as he just did that classic.
Oh, no.
And
poor boy.
I mean, I don't think he spoke for the rest of the debate.
Never again. That was it. He was going to be one of the most promising parliamentarians of our age.
He was like the Martin Luther King of our,
Yeah.
of our generation. And I fucked it up for him.
Well, there you go.
But yeah, there's loads of people like that. Loads of people who aren't used to public speaking, who stand up and, or their voice hasn't broken. That's always another good one, where they're like halfway
Or it's
through that
mid-break,
stage. Yeah.
Like the fast food guy in The Simpsons.
Yeah. And, so they go, we, as the proposition, are saying that we would like to
Point
go.
of information, you sound like a idiot. Accepted. Thank you.
It's really tempting in this situation not to just imitate them when you give a point of information. Point of information.
Oh.
But you're like, why send this person? That's just cruel.
Yes, that
That's
does
like bear
seem
baiting.
like... Yeah, you are kind of putting them out to the slaughter.
Go on, get him to stand up. Get him to say it.
Put giant arrows on him.
Get him to say a word with 3 or more syllables. I'll tell you what, he'll cover an octave range.
Oh.
But then one of the other things that's really fun is the breadth of topics.
Mm-hmm.
Because they
Yeah,
range.
so I was going to ask, I have no concept of what sort of things you would discuss. How boring does it get?
Well, this is it, is that some of them can be really interesting and quite whilst cliche,
they're like
fiery
philosophy
debates.
101.
Yeah.
Kind of civics
Or
class stuff.
even sociology stuff this house would ban violent lyrics in music.
Okay.
Something like that. Or this house would ban violent video games, which certainly when you're 14, 15 is like a fun topic.
Do you get down to stuff like this house would promote a 0.4% increase in annual agricultural spending allocation in Dorset?
Well, this is it, is that one of the things that I was mentioning about the changing quality is that that's sort of what happens in between...
As it steps up.
Yeah, in between the different stages. So when you go to your first round, it'll be something like, oh, this house, would watch Sesame Street or something bullshit.
Yeah.
And then you get to the sort of Oxford Union finals, and it's this house would raise the budget for...
Boring.
Yeah, and, by the time you get to the fourth word, everyone's switched off. This house would promote greater trade with the EU, and you're like, I'm 15. I don't fuck. I don't know.
I neither understand. What informed opinion could a 15-year-old possibly have?
None. Well, none. That's it. It's all based around the most generic arguments possible.
Yeah.
The most boring ever was one of the Oxford Union finals was being sponsored by a publishing firm. And that out of nowhere in the middle of the afternoon came the motion, this house would decrease the copyright limit from 80 years to 15.
Ooh.
Which...
Not a lot of input for teenagers, I would imagine.
At 15, I'm like, well, don't do that.
Well, yeah, where to start? Point of information, nothing to say.
Point of information. There are 3 arguments here between 8 people. And that's the thing, is that so each of the different roles has something that you have to do. If you're the first speaker, you have to define, outline your side's case or define.
It's like a weird little Team Rocket kind of a kind of geeky version of a dance-off.
Yeah.
You've all got your different roll call sections.
Yeah, exactly.
And a cheerlead and thing.
Yeah, your second speaker has to introduce all the main arguments. If you're third speaker, you're the extension speaker, so you have to build on what they've said, but you have to bring at least one new point in.
Otherwise, you might as well fuck off.
Yeah, but then in a debate like that one, where I was the third speaker, there's just nothing left to be said. Once you've made the argument well, it's unfair to artists who don't want other pricks using their work for their own financial gain. Yeah.
That's it.
There you go. Thanks very much for coming.
Just everyone becomes the vote of thanks person.
Yeah.
I'd just like to again reiterate the thanks of the honourable gentleman. I don't know if he quite got that across. Our gratitude is broad as it is deep.
So sometimes you have... Because I was always the extension speaker or the second speaker. So the second speaker is just the best job in the world. It's the easiest job. You just lay out the arguments, you tell everyone else to fuck off, and then you sit down. If third speaker is
Mic
just
drop
the
speaker.
most horrible job ever, because you've got like a list of your arguments in front of you, and you're just slowly ticking them off.
Yeah.
And then in the last minute of someone's speech just before you, another prick will offer a point of information, and it'll be one of your main points. Like, well,
Oh, that's unfortunate.
great, there we go, got nothing to say. So you're standing up going, this argument, it's complex.
I mean, where to begin
Many-
with something like this?
many faceted.
Copyright. Now, an interesting fact about copyright, it comes from the Latin copius writus, meaning I'm out of ideas.
But yeah, as well, when you get to those final stages, you are against people who were test tube bred to debate.
Like private school breed.
Oh, yeah.
Because private school, you start doing this at well, not all, obviously, but often it's the case that it forms like a backbone because they want everyone to be the leaders of tomorrow.
Exactly.
So they're all like trained speakers
Captains of
from a very
industry.
early age. Yeah.
Yeah, so you get these people who turn up to the thing in suits.
Like a mini little Jacob Rees-Mogg who's
Yep.
14.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Some sort of bootleg Nigel Farage turning up.
A little 15-year-old populist
Yep.
nationalist voter is the scariest idea I've ever heard.
And, they've come in their uniform on to what is definitively a non-uniform
on
event.
an own clothes day.
Yeah.
They're a kind of criminal that ought not be reckoned with.
And they often have books of like debate strategies with them,
That's sad.
and this always felt like cheating, or of classic debate arguments, like 101 debates.
Well, yeah, that should obviously be against the rules.
But no, as long as you don't take it into the prep session with you, it's fine.
Oh,
so you can
good.
just read it all before you go in, because who on earth is like spying on and making sure that people adhere to the rules when you're in a hall filled with 200 14-year-olds? And then also, if they're not private school, British private school kids, they are seemingly military trained Korean girls.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Like MUN training,
Yeah.
that kind of thing.
Who've clearly learnt English from the most insufferable American cartoon. So they all talk like this, and their arguments are put forward like that. But it's always so quick, and they're always yes, and filling all their time, just with all this boring, phatic utterance that everyone could do without. It was to the point. It was so prolific that it became a sort of catchphrase in my family after, like, my parents came to one of these debate finals. That when this one girl would deny someone a point of information, she'd just say, "No, thank you, guys. No, thank you,
Ooh,
guys."
that was annoying me quite swiftly.
Endlessly.
Yeah.
And the worst thing was that, all of the various rooms are quite spread out. And also, when you're, debating at somewhere like the Oxford Union or the Cambridge Union, they're all quite nice rooms filled with all these leather books and whatnot. But you could hear her wherever you were in the city.
It's a good quality to have for a debate.
She's like getting her lunch or something, and you can hear her from like McDonald's just saying no thank you to ketchup and stuff.
Oh no. Dreadful.
One of my favourite stories from doing this was that quite coincidentally, in one debate, my partner and I ended up. Make it sound like a gay couple.
In a business relationship. I thought, my debate partner and I, we started a firm, Delane and Henry. We used to debate for the whole nation.
We ended up on the same side as another team from my school.
Yeah.
And we were in, I think, year 10, and they were sort of sixth form at the time. So they were the first speakers, and then we were the second speakers for the proposition. And the motion was something dreadful, like this house would end trade deals with China because of human rights or something.
Mm-hmm. Free Tibet.
Pardon?
I was just getting in a little free Tibet.
Oh, I see.
I just think we should push for that.
Definitely.
On the podcast.
No, we'll do a little video or something.
Yeah.
But during the first opposition speaker's speech, he made some point about about China and how little trade we do with them or something. And one of the guys from my school, in a heartbeat, stood up and was like, I think you'll actually find that they're Britain's second biggest trading partner outside the EU. So there's that argument for you. And sat down, and the guy sort of ended up fumbling around, and he was like,
that's all very well, but numbers, what do they really mean?
Nonetheless, there are other second largest. there are some of the third will
I mean, it's all relative at the end of the day, isn't it?
Yeah. And it became this sort of real bastion for our side that we could always head back to the bomb shelter that was China is their second biggest trading partner. And they came first, I think, and we came second out of the four in the debate.
They came first despite their argument being...
No, sorry. They as in the other team from my school.
The sixth formers.
Yeah, they came first and we came second.
That's right.
And when we left, we were like, oh, that was fantastic. He went, oh, it was bullshit. I've got no idea. He went, I just realised as soon as he started speaking that if we didn't have something to break down that argument, we were fucked. There's just no defence otherwise.
So there's no one fact-checking?
No, well, that's the thing, is that the people who are chairing these debates were either just uni students if you were in the finals, or were just some teacher or janitor, a teaching assistant, man off the street who happened to be free. Yeah. So, they weren't necessarily experts in the topic.
Yes, that's like, because I've never engaged in this scene, but I instinctively hate it as a concept. And I think that exposes why, because it's like teaching people to bluster their way through lies rather than engage with information.
Definitely. It was a fantastic training for an English degree.
Oh, yeah. That's the whole story of an English degree right there.
Yeah. I mean, it was enjoyable, but the trouble is that, like you say, it is so just filled with hateful people saying hateful things, and so ill-informed. Like, I look back on some of the debates that I was part of, and you just think, no one at that table knew what they were doing.
Had a clue.
And the worst thing is that I was quite lucky in that I came into this like year 10, 11. But at the same time, there were competitions ongoing for like the year 8s who would get the same topics.
Oh, even more insight, you say?
Yeah. So,
only through the mind of a child can we really explore the complex trade relations with our foremost partner.
It was unbelievable, and then there'd be stuff like, this house would introduce the death penalty for rape cases. Well, who wants to hear a 13-year-old talk about rape?
Stumble their way through, yeah.
Because that was always one of the worst parts of teaching, was when you inevitably have to deal with sexual themes in a text and explain what's going on. But then when 13-year-olds or 12-year-olds try to then put it in their own words, it's the most ghastly abomination.
Excruciating.
It's an absolute crime against language, against the body itself.
Yeah.
When not even year 8s, like year 10s. I remember I've said before about teaching them about the word hymen.
Oh yes.
And then,
episode, that was quite an early one.
Yeah. And
just check out any episode under 10 for that one, guys. Let us know.
And then, then not remembering it, having to waste 4 lines attempting to describe it. But then like my year 8 class trying to describe the witch's speech where she says she's going to go and rape a sailor. And you're like, don't. Just, like, I've had to tell you this because it's quite obvious what's going on, but please don't write about this. I don't want to hear what you have to say about it.
Leave it there, guys.
As a 12-year-old boy in an all-boys school, you couldn't have less of an opinion on the subject. No one's thoughts are less pertinent than yours. But yeah, I did enjoy the scene. One thing that I learned from doing it is that my competitive edge, certainly in something like public speaking or debating, has the ability, if unchecked, to override my own basic morality.
Okay, that's a good sign.
Not in the House of Cards, I had people killed off sense.
Well, We never heard from that short, fat Asian boy again.
But in the sense that if I was asked to oppose a view that I strongly believed, by the end of the debate, I would kill anyone who believed it. Like I get so caught up in the righteous fury of my own argument that I would begin to believe it, and it wouldn't be until afterwards that I'd sort of realise half the stuff I was saying. I'd be on the bus home, and I think, hang on a minute, and then have a little flashback to me in the room going, well, no one should be allowed an abortion. What gives you
the death
the right?
penalty is great.
If you're getting an abortion, you're a fucking murderer. You're a baby fetus murdering murderer. Yeah, and you should then get the death penalty just for
And then
murdering
it cuts
a
back
baby.
to you on the bus going, what have I done? Father, forgive me.
Just like flashes of all of the women's faces in the room as just like dropping.
Oh no.
That was
dear.
as a final point. The teacher who ran all of this was an absolute tour de force of a human.
Okay.
His name is Mr. Stevens, and he knows more things than any other man alive.
Ooh.
If it's a date, if it's an event, if it's a historical document, if it's a person, he knows everything about it. And then
That's most things right there.
well, yeah, like he just does know them. And what's more frustrating is that because he was a history teacher, and you consider him this absolute history god, and then you get to year 12, and I was talking to him, and he said that he was never really that interested in history as a kid. He always wanted to be a chemist, so he knows everything about chemistry as well. History was just something he did on the side and happens to be a god at and get
that's nice
went
to
to
know.
Oxford to do and whatnot. But he was he had always been a prominent debater and public speaker when he was younger, and he used to run all the competitions. He used to take us there. But he is also the world's most exasperated man. Like, when you know that many things,
It must be incredibly irritating to hear them butchered by
mangled.
idiot children.
Yeah, especially when it was myself or Chris who happened to be doing the mangling. And he used to sit in the. He's this enormously fat man, and he just used to sit.
That's where he keeps all the knowledge.
Yeah, exactly. If he ever loses weight, he's fucked.
Yeah, it's like Samson and Delilah, but
Yeah.
with cellulose.
He would just sit in the corner of the room, and he would look like he was sleeping. He would be like eyes closed, head sort of like chin resting on his chest. And you'd get up and you'd start speaking, and you'd always have him within view, and you'd know when it was going to happen. Whenever you were coming up to saying something that you knew was shaky yourself, you would sort of brace for it, and you'd get through, and you'd say it, and you'd just watch you just watch him, still eyes closed, either put his hand up to his head and shake.
Oh no, he's not subtle about
No,
it.
in disappointment. Or he would do that kind of, again, still eyes closed, that kind of taken aback look where you sort of jerk your head back to think, what?
Like the falsity of the statement is physically pained him.
Yeah, exactly. Someone's like poked him awake, disturbed his slumber with such bullshit.
horrible.
And so you'd see him do that, and you're like, oh, I know I'm getting a fucking note about this when we're done. And you come out of it, and you're like, you don't want to say, how did we do? Because you don't want to know how he thinks you did. You'd rather that he kept it to himself. But you'd just be waiting, and then you go, so Declan, that point you made about about Jean-Claude Juncker.
You didn't think it was correct, did you?
No,
Because
he did have this wonderful phrase for. He had a wonderful restraint to him of not.
you'd have to.
Of not pointing out things until it was most of either the most entertainment value or of the most cutting value. I remember being on a school trip once, and we were having breakfast. It was we were in Russia, and we were having this buffet breakfast, and there was something that no one could quite identify what it was. And And I like took a taste, and we were all sort of like throwing ideas about, and I was like, it tastes like every meat put together.
Oh,
like
that's a
it
shame.
wasn't bad, but it
Doesn't
just
sound good.
No, but it did. But it was sort of an almost unrecognizable texture. And anyway, people were sort of still debating what it was, and we moved on. We were eating something else. I think we were nearly on to dessert, and another teacher came to sit down next to Mr. Stevens, who was one table over, and he said to Mr. Stevens, "Have you had any of the smoked cheese?" And he went, "Yes, Declan seems to think it's a combination of all meats."
That's lovely.
Wow. Well, thanks.
Yeah. Thanks for calling me on that, sir.
He did it one more time on the same trip, when a couple of us were sat on the coach waiting to leave somewhere, and and someone asked me why there were no statues of Stalin, like, anywhere. And because they were like, oh, because of the whole like cult of personality, like surely there should be loads. And I like panicked and didn't want to lose face by saying I didn't know. So I made up a reason.
The climate in Russia actually dissolves stone.
My argument was far wankier than that. It was that if like a cult of personality is supposed to raise an individual up to the level of being a god, and of course you're not allowed to make images of of your god. so they probably
what a vector of lies.
I know. And he was sat literally the row in front of us. He could have answered the fucking question himself if he wanted, but he'd rather watch me burn. And he didn't say anything then. And the coach left, and we were sort of driving for an hour, and he did a little, the teacher's wobbly length of the coach to kind of make sure everyone at the back isn't fucking about and whatnot. And then on his way
literally
back up,
fucking.
Yeah. Less of a problem. Less of a problem for a boys' school.
Yeah.
And he came back up, and as he came back up, he just leant down and went, "By the way, Albert, there are no statues of Stalin because they knocked them all down."
I love that it's such a simple answer.
Didn't even look.
The fuckers down. Don't listen to this prick.
He didn't even address me. He just sat down. I was like, "Oh yeah, well, that too."
Yeah, I mean, it's a bit of both, is what Sir's saying, really. I mean, because of course the knocking down is the literal answer, but I was delving more into the kind of the ideas behind it. And I think,
the Russision architects, they were real iconoclasts. They couldn't bear to see these images of God, this simulation of the divine.
Oh, he sounds great. Let's get him on the show.
Absolutely.
Is he alive?
He is alive. He certainly won't be coming on.
Oh, why not?
I can't.
Do you think he'd just spend the whole time fact checking you?
Yeah, I couldn't think.
That's actually not a shame.
I couldn't
Declan.
think of anything that he would be less interested in doing.
Oh, that's sad. We'll give him a go.
I'll tell you what. I'll get my mum to ask, but I can't.
Yeah, why not?
I can't even fathom the response that she will get.
A pod what?
All I know is that it will almost certainly include one of the great eye rolls of our age.
If listeners keep still enough at the time, you'll be able to hear the gyration of his orbits within his very skull.
It will create such gravity that it will actually sort of slow the Earth's spin just a little bit, like when they filled that dam up in China.
We'll all only age 0.5 seconds for that second that passes. It's going to be quite powerful.
Do you remember how they made last year a second longer?
I hate it.
Just because I
don't like to think about it.
Just because I'd quit drinking.
Oh yeah, that was good of them actually, wasn't it? To give you that little challenge. Everyone clubbed together, thought this will really test him. It was lovely. I think we should barrel into shame mail.
Definitely.
As we're on the topic of nothing to do with this. Maybe we can latch on to the concept of great ideas, because you will remember, listeners, Noah got in touch last week. Last week, was it? Yeah? Sunday? Yeah, good. I don't really know what day it is now, so it's all irrelevant ultimately. We'll all be dead soon, guys, so don't hold on too much.
How's that weekday job coming for you?
Oh, good. I tell you what, I turned up today for my teaching with it wasn't even that I didn't know what I was going to cover. It's that I every option was equally bankrupt. The amount of enjoyment that I had to spread between any of the 1,000 different things we could go over, it was just drivel. The whole thing. If you'd like to hire me, I'm an educator at heart.
It's all about the children. They
It
are
really
the
is. I mean, at
future.
the end of the day, that's what I've been telling them. I was like, guys, buck up your ideas. You're the future. No, it's good actually because they do police dog training there as well. So when you're not teaching,
Sorry.
when you're not talking, it's just incessant barking of baby dogs learning how to racially target people to align with the police's discrimination agenda.
Where are you having these lessons?
I
What kind
cannot
of
specify.
warehouse? Is it the same one where?
It's at the docks.
Is it the same one where Bronson fought that Rottweiler?
That's it, yeah. If you actually look in the background, you can see me setting up a whiteboard that says, today's lesson, nothing. Today's lesson, life is short and then you die. Learn it soon, learn it well. Anyway, look. Noah, what a man. He got in touch with us. We read out his email. He'd asked us if we were happy to sponsor or in some sense be directly responsible for the creation of a pro-Nazi, potentially satirical film. He thought we were the men for the job. He got in touch afterwards. I think, having listened back, I think I was in Noah's corner for quite a lot of it. I think you may have attacked him a little bit, Declan, as being a probable Nazi.
I felt as though there was a real, as stated in
kind
the
of bite to
subject,
it.
that a pro-Nazi bent to the email.
Okay,
which
yeah.
isn't a stance that I've known many non-Nazis to take.
All Noah's behind is giving everyone a fair shake, I think we can say. Because he's emailed in to say, because I replied like 4 days ago to say we discussed it on the episode or whatever. He emailed back to say, I'd like to clarify, I am not a Nazi, but a man with great ideas. To which I replied, yeah, fair enough. Great artists are seldom understood in their time, so you're probably ahead of the curve. We'll be sure to add this clarification, episode 21. Have a lovely day. He replied, thank you, ! I'd also like to note that I won't be writing a pro-Nazi movie because my time is already caught up writing a screenplay for a pro-Confederate story. It's a great response. I mean, hats off to him. He's a great emailer. I think he wins Listener of the Week.
Oh, definitely. That's a
which is a
feature we.
What's the prize for that? Is it? It's not one of those corporeal rewards.
No, it's one of those prizes where the prize is we won't call you a Nazi on air again
until the next episode. Yeah.
Oh yeah,
it's good though.
Until your next
congratulations,
extremely troubling email.
Yeah, but keep them coming, guys. That's
what on earth could the next
shame.city.
What on earth could the next one be?
Who knows?
Genocide.
He's a complicated guy.
A two-sided problem.
But yeah, so email in your thoughts because what better way to illustrate the breadth of content we're willing to include in our email segment than the ramblings of an admittedly hilarious emailer. So yeah, get in touch, guys. Hooked. How are we feeling?
Definitely. Noah's favourite segment.
Noah, yeah, he does love Hooked. Does love him some Hooked.
Your prize
recap.
Your prize, Noah, is that we'll ignore your tweet asking us never to do Hooked again. And instead give you a 5-part Hooked.
I'm going to actually send him. I've been recording the whole of the Order of the Fox, whatever it's called. I'm going to email it directly to your address there, Noah. So have a listen to that. We all, in case I forget at the end, we're going to record a bonus episode probably next week.
Yes.
I just made that up. We haven't discussed when.
Not at all.
For our people on our mailing list. So sign up. You'll never be spammed. So much so that we've sent nothing to any of the people who've signed up so far. Shame.city/mail for that. Let me get into characters, Andrea, as you recap the story so far.
Well, look, Emily, she's on a date with the troublingly named Derek.
That was a shame.
Her friend Andrea is messaging her through some unspecified rectangular medium to tell her that a person that they both knew called Sasha was killed by the very same Derek, who she recognised on FaceSpace, in case you forgot. But
just a big sigh, face space.
Here's the fifth twist of the 20 message episode thus far.
They really cram them in.
Emily revealed at the end of last show that Sasha is not dead.
She was there. She was there all along. Let's jump back in. You choose where, and I'll pick it up.
Andrea,
I'm a pro.
she's not dead.
What?
She's sitting next to me.
No, not possible.
It's her, Andrea. She's friends with Derek.
You need to get out of there, Emily.
Are you lying to me because you're kind of freaking me out?
Imagine she was like, yeah, I was. I was lying. The end. I'm totally serious, I swear.
Are you telling me the girl at my table drinking a grande ice mocha
Why so detailed?
mocha is officially dead?
I said, Sasha is dead. It can't be her at the coffee shop, but something strange is definitely going on, and I bet you $1 million Derek's behind it. No one's ever put so much money on any proposition involving Derek as a name.
It's the worst name. It inspires no fear.
It doesn't
at
have a
all.
lot of gravitas. Sorry, Derek's in the audience.
OMG. He never lets me see his phone.
What's the thinking there? Therefore, Sasha is dead.
Yeah, therefore Sasha's dead.
Oh, hang on. Is
she's
that
on his
Sasha
phone.
drinking a mocha, or is it your phone?
I've never been to his house before. I've never met his family. I guess it is pretty suspicious. I just thought he was a private person.
He's a liar, Em. Please come back to the dorm and talk to me.
But what about Sasha?
Andrew is so done with this train. She's not Sasha.
Well, she looks like Sasha to me. But she introduced herself as Regina.
See? It's not her, says Andrew, missing the point.
Does Sasha have a tattoo on her wrist of a dragonfly?
Yeah? How do you know?
Oh, fuck off, Andrea. What do you mean, how do you know? We've just established
how
she's
do you
sitting
know that?
opposite,
What are
drinking
you,
an iced
psychic?
mocha. I'm looking at it, Andrea.
How could it be her? I went to her funeral.
Did you see her body?
Oh my god, Emily. No, she drowned at the beach and they couldn't find her. Presumably she drowned in the sea rather than just
Yeah.
on the beach. She drowned
Just on
separately
land.
on the sand. Someone poured a big gallon of water over. She was with Derek. I know he was involved, but they all thought it was an accident.
What? Why
How are they revealing this?
Why have neither of them discussed this previously?
Yeah.
Why don't they know?
I don't really understand.
OMG. I wish they'd stop saying that.
I know.
Maybe she faked the whole thing.
Nah, she couldn't have.
Oh, right. Oh, well, yeah. Well, that's the end of that.
That's solved that one.
And that was the end of Order of the Fox 2. Look, if you don't believe me, I'm with Sasha, then come to the
fuck's
coffee
sake,
shop
I
and
believe
see
you.
for yourself. Then we'll figure all this shit out. Ooh.
Okay, fine. I'll be there soon. I just need to go by Kate's dorm. After I say Kate's dorm, you might at home be wondering, Kate?
Who's Kate?
Who's Kate? Is that a new character?
Don't worry, there's some helpful non-cumbersome
Non-slammed in,
exposition.
Like a square peg into not even a hole.
square
smashed
peg
into a
into the
wall.
eyeball. Your sister? Why?
My mum keeps calling me saying she can't get a hold of
God, she
her.
hasn't spent any time with Derek, has she?
Well, she hasn't been to the beach recently. I got to check on her.
Okay, hurry up.
Act natural, okay? That natural texting and OMGing. I'll be there soon. Oh no. 17 minutes later. Specific and annoying. Okay, Em. I'm on my way to the coffee shop.
What about Kate?
Her roomie said she's staying with some friends.
Ah, well, there you go. Yeah, that's fine. I'm sure your mum will be satisfied.
She's definitely not in a cult.
No.
She is the fox tooth.
Speaking of friends,
Cumbersome.
I need to tell you something.
She should work in radio.
Don't get mad, okay?
What? Why?
Derek and Sasha asked me to come meet their friends. We just left the coffee shop. Never go with a stranger to a second location. Come on, guys.
Yeah, this is basic. Seriously? But I'm almost there. I thought you were waiting for me.
I'm sorry, Andrea. I couldn't think of a good excuse not to go with it.
What shit reason?
Imagine
Any excuse. I don't want to.
Imagine being killed by a cult because of you were too socially embarrassed
Social politeness,
to
yeah.
say, I'll just stay here. thanks."
It's a situation where if she'd said nothing and remained immobile, it would have resolved.
The story would be done.
Yeah.
Noah could rest in peace knowing that there was no more to come.
As it is, there are 4 more parts after this.
Derek already knew I'm free for the night. I panicked. You got me all nervous and the coffee's making me jumpy. She made you nervous about Derek, so your instinct was to follow him.
What, better go with him?
Follow him.
Fuck.
Follow him and a reanimated corpse.
I'm sorry. Stay calm. Where are you guys going?
to Regina's house.
Can we agree to call her Regina?
No, I
Because
I think
I
Emily
don't
would.
need that rhyme in my life.
I think Emily would say it Regina. She's never listened to Regina Spektor.
No.
To Regina's house, or Sasha, whoever she is. But I'm following her either way.
Okay, text me when you get there. We'll figure something out, okay?
All right, I'm just going to act normal.
Good. Be careful.
I will. Talk soon. I think that's
36 minutes later.
I think that's a good
But
place
we'll find
to
out.
leave it.
Yeah, I think so. No suspense.
What happened in those?
She's clearly going to be killed or embroiled in the cult within seconds.
Yep, drowned, but then come back to life with a new name.
With the girl with the dragonfly tattoo. Mm-hmm. Well, look, I've learned all kinds of things about debating. It's nice when you have pre-existing prejudices that aren't necessarily backed up in fact, confirmed in every regard. And I do hate it as a concept, the whole debating. It's reminded me of some audition and we did a bit of public speaking stuff at school that I can talk about in a future episode. So that's good. Content will have content. Let's do some plugs before we get out of here.
I was just going to say as well that we should link to... Do you remember that video we watched of supposedly the best debater in the whole world who spoke at such a pace and with such a speech impediment that there was simply no way that anyone could ever have understood him? I think that he was the best by default because nobody else would take part.
No, everyone just thought that his very existence rendered the whole event a mockery.
The very idea of opposing opinions became moot.
Yes, I'll link to that in the show notes, which leads us on to checking shame.city for all your episode art, links, other stuff that's forthcoming in fuch.
Yep, definitely. You can get in touch with us in very many ways. You could just go again to shame.city. There's a contact form on the website. You could email us, tas at shame.city.
Maybe you can be the next listener of the week.
Yeah.
Steal the crown from Noah's not Nazi head.
His not Nazi but potentially pro-Confederate head. Or you could get in touch with us on Twitter. We are at That's a Shamecast, or you could contact us individually. I'm at Cynical Declan. Isaac is at Isaac BD.
Sure am. Reviews, keep them coming, guys. By keep them, I'm optimistically assuming that some might have appeared in the last few days. Unlikely, on the whole. 5 stars, please. Let's not dick around. Otherwise, if you have feedback and complaints, email them to us. We'll tailor the show to you. Or what else? Oh, tell a friend. Yeah, that's that one. Thank you to who was it? Emily, who tweeted to her friends.
Oh yeah, that was very nice of her.
Yeah, it was very nice. She's taken the tell a friend feature to heart. Let's not call it a feature, but yeah, share the show around. Word of mouth is best of all. I was trying to think of a phrase. I was going to end up with something like word of mouth is best of mouth. But it meant nothing. It sounded gross.
That's a crime.
So I left it.
Definitely cause to have you listed.
But this has been episode 21. I've enjoyed learning all kinds of things I never thought I needed to know about debate. And I hope you have felt the same. Keep an eye out. We'll definitely update you when Declan has to post videos of some of it. Yeah.
Yes.
Thank you for listening. Have you had a nice time, Declan?
I've had a wonderful time. Much better than I thought I was going to when I logged on. I was fucking miserable.
Oh. Listen, also, quick shout out. Listen to the bonus episode that will have come out yesterday. Which is our kind of highlights, our favourite moments from the Turning Point appearance. Which was good fun.
It was a lot of fun.
Thanks again to those
A lot
guys.
of our national anthem got played for
it did.
about
Haunting
15
it was.
minutes. But yeah, it was they're good people.
Very nice indeed. This has been episode 21. We're That's a Shame, and we'll see you on Sunday.
See you then, guys. Bye-bye.
The bare necessities, the simple bare necessities. Forget about your worries and your strife. I mean the bare necessities, oh Mother Nature's recipes that bring the bare necessities of life. Wherever I wander, bees are buzzing in the tree to make some honey just for me. The bare necessities of life will come to you. For the bare necessities, the simple bare necessities. Forget about your worries and your strife. I mean the bare necessities, oh Mother Nature's recipes that bring the bare necessities of life. Wherever I wander, wherever I roam, I couldn't be fonder, my new home. The bees are buzzing in the tree to make some honey just for me. The bare necessities of life will come to you.